I never expected a simple moment in a coffee shop to change my entire life. I thought I was just meeting someone new, killing time after work like I had done so many times before. But then she looked at me right there on our first date and said she would understand if I wanted to leave. That single sentence told me she was carrying more than just her own worries. And somehow, before I even had time to think, I already knew I did not want to walk away. My name is Joe. I am 34 years old, and I live in a pretty normal apartment complex just outside of Denver. Nothing fancy. Just beige walls, thin windows, and neighbors I nod at but never really talk to. I work as an IT support specialist for a logistics company. That mostly means fixing computers, resetting passwords, and pretending everything is under control when it really is not. I am not rich, and I am not special. I pay my bills, try to keep my life steady, and somewhere along the way I realized I wanted more than random dates that went nowhere. I wanted something real. That was the mindset I was in the day I met her. It was a Tuesday after work when I stopped by a small coffee shop near my office. The kind of place where they remember your order if you come in often enough. I was standing in line, half focused on my phone, when the woman in front of me dropped her card. She did not notice it slide out of her wallet and land right by my shoe. I bent down, picked it up, and tapped her lightly on the shoulder. I told her she had dropped it. She turned around, and that was the first time I really saw her face. She had dark green eyes that looked tired but warm at the same time. Her hair was pulled back like she had a long day and did not care about impressing anyone. She smiled politely and thanked me, saying it would have been a disaster if she had lost it. I joked that I usually drop my dignity instead of my card, and she laughed. Not a polite laugh. A real one. The kind that catches you off guard. We moved up the line together, and somehow the conversation did not die. We talked about how slow the line always was, how the muffins looked better than they tasted, and how the weather could not decide what it wanted to do. When it was her turn to order, she asked me what I usually got. I told her I ordered a vanilla latte without syrup and pretended it was healthier that way. She smirked and said she would try it and blame me if it was terrible. We ended up standing at the counter waiting for our drinks. Normally that is the part where people turn back to their phones, but she stayed facing me. There was something guarded about her, like she had built a wall but never finished it. She introduced herself as Adele and stuck out her hand. I told her my name, and when I shook her hand, I noticed it was warm and a little shaky, like she was always balancing between calm and stress. When my drink came out first, I held the cup and joked that this was the part where I said it was nice to meet her, and then overthought it for the next week. She smiled and said I could try something different. Before my nerves could catch up, I asked if she wanted to sit for a few minutes. Just coffee. No pressure. She hesitated for a moment, like she was weighing 100 thoughts at once, then agreed to 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes turned into 45. We sat by the window and talked about work, traffic, and how expensive everything had gotten. She told me she worked in a small medical office dealing with paperwork and insurance all day. I told her that sounded like my nightmare, and she said it was hers too. She was funny in a quiet way. Quick with her words but never loud. Every time I thought the conversation would fade, she asked something real. At one point she asked if I lived alone. I told her yes, and mentioned a long relationship that ended a couple of years earlier. I joked about keeping 2 houseplants alive and called it progress. She laughed, but there was something behind it, something she did not say. I did not push. Before we left, I asked if she would want to get dinner sometime. Somewhere that did not smell like burned coffee beans. She looked down at her cup, then back at me, hesitation and hope mixing in her eyes. She said yes, quietly. We exchanged numbers, and that night we texted a little. Nothing dramatic, just simple messages that felt easy. When Saturday came, I arrived early to the restaurant. I always do when I care. It was a small Italian place with warm lighting. When she walked in, she looked like herself, just a little more put together. The conversation picked up right where it left off. It felt easy, real, like we were not pretending to be anyone else. Then somewhere between the main course and the check, she got quiet. She picked at her napkin and avoided my eyes. When I asked if she was okay, she took a deep breath and told me she did not like hiding things. She looked straight at me and said she would understand if I wanted to leave. Then she told me she had 2 kids. The room went quiet for me. Not because she had kids, but because of the way she said it. Like it was something she expected me to run from. She told me most men did. She said I did not owe her anything. I looked at her shaking hands and the way she was already preparing for me to walk away. And in that moment, I realized something clear. It did not scare me at all. After that first date, I drove home with a strange mix of calm and clarity sitting heavy in my chest. I kept replaying her words in my head, the way she said she would understand if I wanted to leave. The truth was simple. I did not want to leave. I wanted to know her more, not the careful version she showed the world, but the real one behind the tired eyes and measured words. The next morning, I sent her a simple text. "Good morning. Hope you got some rest." She replied a few minutes later saying she barely slept because she was overthinking everything, but she thanked me for checking in. That became our rhythm. No dramatic messages. No pretending. Just honest, simple check-ins that felt steady. Over the next few days, we talked whenever we could. On my lunch breaks. During her bus ride home. Late at night when she was folding laundry or finishing paperwork. She told me she had not dated seriously in almost 4 years. Not because she did not want to, but because every time someone found out she had kids, they slowly disappeared. I could hear how tired she was when she said it. Not angry, just worn down. One night I stared at my phone for a long time before sending a message. I typed it, deleted it, then typed it again. Finally, I sent the truth. I told her her kids did not scare me. I told her I meant what I said. She did not reply right away, and I worried I had pushed too hard. Then she wrote back, saying she did not want her life to overwhelm me. I told her I did not need perfection. I just wanted to know her. That was the first time she called me. Hearing her voice through the phone felt different. Softer, more open. We talked for over an hour about work, stress, and how tired she always felt trying to hold everything together. She was not trying to impress me. She just wanted to be understood. I listened, because I genuinely cared. By Friday, we planned our second date. Nothing fancy, just a long walk through a park near her neighborhood. When I arrived, she was already there waiting in jeans and a hoodie, her hair pulled back in a loose bun. She looked nervous, tugging at her sleeve like she was not sure she should be there. I told her she looked good, and she rolled her eyes, but she smiled. We started walking as the evening air cooled. At first, the conversation stayed light. Work stories, weather, random thoughts. But halfway down the path, she stopped. She looked at me like she was making a decision. She told me her kids came first. Always. She said she did not have spontaneous weekends or last-minute trips. Her life was homework, bills, dentist appointments, and exhaustion. She said she was not asking to be rescued. She just wanted me to know the truth before things went further. I told her I understood. I told her I was not asking her to change anything. She said I might not know what I was signing up for. I told her I did not need to know everything right away. I just needed to know if she wanted me in her life at all. She did not answer immediately. She just started walking again, and I walked beside her. The silence felt calm, not awkward, like she was letting me in without saying it out loud. As we kept walking, she told me about her daughter, how much she loved drawing, how quiet and thoughtful she was. She told me about her son, how he never stopped moving, how he loved building things. She talked about her fear of disappointing them, and the way she felt like she was never doing enough. When the sun started setting, she asked me why I was really there, why I stayed when most men did not. I thought about it for a moment, then told her the truth. I said I did not want something easy. I wanted something real. That was the first time I saw her guard truly lower. Not completely, but enough to let me see the woman underneath the fear. Before we left, she told me she was not ready for anyone to meet her kids yet, but she wanted to keep seeing me. I told her that was enough for me. That night, she texted me saying the walk felt calming, that being around me made things feel quieter in her head. I realized something was changing between us. Slowly, carefully, but real. The week that followed felt different. Our conversations became part of each other's routines. She sent voice messages when she was too tired to type. I listened to everyone. One evening she told me her daughter had a big school project due, and her son had forgotten his homework at school. I offered to help, but she said she was not ready for that yet. I respected it. Then, one Saturday morning, she texted me asking if I was free. She said she wanted me to meet them, just as a friend. I stared at the message for a long time, not because I was scared, but because I knew what it meant. I told her yes. A few hours later, I pulled up to her townhouse complex. Kids, bikes were scattered on the sidewalk. Chalk drawings covered the pavement. It felt like real life lived loudly and honestly. She met me at the door, nervous, but hopeful. I told her she did not need to be perfect. She took a deep breath and stepped aside. That was the moment I walked into her world. The moment I stepped inside her home, I understood how much trust that invitation carried. The living room looked lived in, not messy, not perfect. Homework was spread across the coffee table. A half-built Lego set sat on the floor. Towels were folded neatly but left unattended. It felt warm in a way that had nothing to do with temperature. Her kids were sitting on the couch. Her daughter looked up first, quiet and observant, with big, thoughtful eyes. Her son waved immediately, full of energy. She introduced me as her friend, and I made sure to let them lead the conversation. Her son asked if I liked dinosaurs. I told him I did. Her daughter asked what I did for work, and I joked about breaking computers before fixing them. That earned a small smile from her. We sat together, and I let things unfold naturally. Her son talked non-stop about school and experiments. Her daughter spoke less, but when she did, it was with surprising maturity. I could feel her watching me from across the room, measuring every reaction, every pause, every breath I took. She was looking for signs that I might be overwhelmed. I was not. At one point, her daughter showed me her sketchbook. The drawings were incredible. When I told her that honestly, her cheeks turned pink. Then she asked if I could help with her school project. I looked at her mom before answering, and she nodded slightly. I sat at the table with her daughter while her son ran circles around us with a toy plane. Her mom hovered nearby, pretending to make tea, pretending not to watch every second. While we worked, her daughter leaned in and whispered if I was going to be around more. I paused, choosing honesty over promises. I told her I hoped so. She nodded like that answer was enough. After a couple of hours, the kids went upstairs to play. She finally sat down on the couch and let out a breath she had clearly been holding. She told me I handled it well. I told her her kids were good kids. She said they were a lot. I told her everyone is a lot in the right moments, and that did not make them any less worth being around. She looked at me for a long time after that, like she was trying to understand how someone could walk into her life and not immediately want to escape. Before I left, her daughter waved shyly, and her son shouted goodbye like we had known each other forever. She walked me to the door and thanked me quietly. She did not hug me. She just touched my arm lightly. That small gesture stayed with me the entire drive home. After that day, something shifted between us. Slowly, naturally. She started letting me into the messier parts of her life. Not just conversations, but real moments. One evening, she invited me over for dinner because the kids asked if I would come. When I arrived, chaos was already in full swing. Dinner cooking, kids running, stress written all over her face. I stepped in without asking. I helped cook. I redirected her son before he knocked something over. I listened to the kids talk over each other during dinner. She watched me from across the table with quiet gratitude in her eyes. Later, when the kids were in their rooms, she sat beside me on the couch and told me it meant a lot that I did not treat her life like an inconvenience. I told her I was not here just for the easy parts. That scared her. She admitted good things never seemed to last for her. I told her we did not need to predict endings before enjoying what we had. That made her smile. From there, I became part of their routine without ever planning it. Homework help, fixing things around the house, sitting together after the kids went to bed, talking softly so we would not wake them. Some nights were quiet. Some were exhausting. All of them felt real. One Friday evening, her car broke down after work. She called me, stressed and apologetic. I drove there immediately. The battery was dead. I told her I would take care of it and bring the car back the next day. She said I did not have to. I told her I knew. The next morning, when I returned with the car, her son ran outside yelling that I fixed it. She stood on the porch, watching me like I had solved more than a mechanical problem. She told me she did not know how to handle someone showing up like this. I told her she did not need to handle it. Just let it happen. Weeks passed. The house grew louder, fuller. Sometimes her son fell asleep on the couch next to me. Sometimes her daughter quietly left drawings out for me to see. One night, after the kids were asleep, she sat beside me and said she thought it was time. She asked if I would consider moving in. I did not answer immediately, not because I doubted it, but because it mattered. She told me the kids already saw me as part of their life. She told me I brought calm into the house. I took her hand and told her I wanted to be there, with all of them. A month later, I moved in. No big speeches. Just clothes, tools, books, and a quiet commitment. Life settled into shared mornings and shared responsibilities. We argued sometimes, laughed often, and always found our way back to each other. One evening at dinner, as the kids talked about their day, I felt something settle deep inside me. This was not temporary. This was home. By the time winter faded into spring, life in that house no longer felt like something I was adjusting to. It felt like something I belonged to. The routines came naturally. Morning coffee while packing lunches, quiet moments before the kids woke up, loud evenings filled with stories, laughter, and the kind of chaos that somehow feels comforting when it is yours. Some mornings, her daughter would sit at the table half asleep, drawing before school. Her son would race down the stairs asking if I could look at his latest Lego creation. She would stand in the doorway wearing one of my shirts, hair messy, smiling like she finally felt safe enough to rest. Those moments mattered more than any big gesture ever could. Living together was not perfect. There were bills to manage, exhaustion to work through, and days that felt heavier than others. When her son got sick, we took turns working from home. When her daughter needed supplies for an art showcase, we spent an entire Saturday searching for the right materials. When she came home drained after a hard day, I made her tea and sat with her until she talked it out. She was no longer carrying everything alone. One quiet night after the kids were asleep, I found her sitting on the couch staring out the window. I sat beside her, and she leaned her head on my shoulder. She told me she had been thinking about how different her life felt now, how scared she had been to let anyone in, how safe she finally felt again. I told her that was all I ever wanted for her. Then she took a deep breath and told me something that stopped time in its tracks. She said she thought she was pregnant. She was shaking, clearly preparing for fear or doubt. I did not feel either. I held her hand and told her I was here, that I was not going anywhere. The relief on her face was instant. We talked for a long time about the future, the kids, the changes ahead. There were worries, of course, but there was also peace. We were already a family. This was just another chapter. The next morning she told the kids. Her son jumped out of his chair, excited to be a big brother. Her daughter asked quiet, thoughtful questions. Then she looked at me and asked if I was staying forever. I knelt down and told her yes. She hugged me without hesitation. From there, life moved forward together. We cleaned out the spare room. The kids argued over baby names. Drawings covered the fridge. Doctor visits filled the calendar. Some days were exhausting. Some were overwhelming. All of them felt right. The day we set up the crib, she stood in the doorway with her hands on her stomach, tears in her eyes. She told me she never thought she would get another chance at this kind of happiness. I told her she deserved it. All of them did. Looking back, I think about that first date, about the way she told me she would understand if I wanted to leave. The truth is, I never wanted to leave. I wanted to stay. I wanted something real. And somehow, by choosing honesty and patience, we built a family out of second chances and quiet love. That coffee shop moment did not just change my life. It gave me a home.